and welcome to the David Tomsic Show, fighting tyranny one day at a time. Well, it's May 14th, 2025. It's a Wednesday. I'm glad you can join me today. Today is an update of an update. Now, this is an update on the video 2 days ago, my opinion on why I believe China won the trade war. And I was challenged. Some comments, I had some phone calls, some texts from people who wanted to politely challenge me. Now, their spin was that Donald Trump won the trade war. No other president in history has challenged China and beat them. And I was trying to think where this came from, and I realized it was from Fox News, maybe another news outlet that's right-wing. There's plenty of them. It could be from Sean Hannity or these other right-wing people that are clueless to what's happening in the world. But again, I didn't argue because some of these folks are nice and some are well-spoken, articulate, smart. But see, that doesn't give you the ability to understand. It doesn't. Again, it's about data. It's about history, economics, geopolitics. Most people, maybe they missed those classes. I don't know what they teach today in high schools. Civics class is gone, I think. But a lot of folks don't understand how our government works, how the world works with us, how geopolitics works, how economics plays a part in that. There's a lot of moving parts that you have to understand. Listen, I'm not an expert, but I have a good grip on most of this stuff. And when I am confused about something, I find the best people to help me. Now, yesterday, we talked about fascism, and I had an expert on fascism that I quoted and brought information forth from. The same with tariffs. And today I'm going to do the same thing as my update to my update. Okay, I'm going to talk about Peter Schiff. I like Peter Schiff. I don't agree with everything he does. He's a right-wing conservative stock market guy. Smart, he's an economist. And because he's right-wing and conservative and probably even Republican, he is a guy you'd go to and say, well, what do you think about all this? And he had some things to say. And they weren't going to back up those of you that think that America won the trade war, because we didn't. I'm sorry. This is just, it's delusional. I do this video, and I never thought that I'd have people that really misinterpret reality. Now, there's things that are gray. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are gray. Listen, I'm one of those guys that sees the gray, and you have to comment and analyze things with the information you have, and then you make assumptions. You can extrapolate things. But just because there's gray doesn't mean there's still not black and white. And this particular trade war is black and white. We lost. Now, what does Peter Schiff say? No, he said the celebration on Wall Street's trade deal. There was no trade deal with China. That's fake news. This is Peter Schiff speaking. There was progress. That progress was that Trump completely surrendered in the trade war he started. Do you get you? Now, the Republicans had a spin on it. And, of course, they always do. Now, keep in mind, not everyone that's a Republican believes this stuff. They don't. But Donald Trump is vindictive. He believes in retribution. This is what many of the right-wing people love. They love retribution and judgment. They want it. Okay? But some of these Republicans went out, and this is probably what happened. They were given the papers from Donald Trump's aides, and there's somebody on the other side making sure they read it exactly right. Donald Trump beat the Chinese in the trade war. We won. Donald Trump is great. I'm sorry. I have a little levity's good here sometimes, I think. Okay, so, but the Republicans say, well, he got tough with China. No other president ever did. He raised tariffs to 145%. And then the Chinese couldn't take it anymore, and they came crawling back on their hands and knees to Geneva, Switzerland, and they said, we want a deal, Donald. Now, Donald, being the master negotiator, struck an incredible deal. Incredible. One of the greatest deals in history. In fact, it's already termed the greatest deal in history. Now, he rolled back the tariffs. The tariffs he actually started putting on Liberation Day. Remember Liberation Day? That's when this really started. Now, Peter Schiff calls it the real April Fool's Day. I think that's pretty good. It was the real April Fool's Day. The problem is that the people who believed him are the people being fooled. Not a secret. We talk about it a lot here on the David Thompson Show. The evidence is there. It's clear. It's hardcore evidence. And those that don't want to accept it just want to by faith believe that, well, our ancestors believed that this is God's country and we're going to win no matter who's in office. We're going to put the right people in. Really? Well, this is our choice too. See, we choose to do things as well. There's no gun to our heads. No one forced these people to go vote for Donald Trump, even though we knew who he was. We're going to overlook all that because somehow he's going to be used to make America great again. I'm going to do another video on that too. Remind me, please. So he struck this incredible deal. So these tariffs really were reciprocal, but they really didn't reciprocate anything because by and large, China had very low tariffs on America. In fact, his secretary of the Treasury said the same thing, Scott Bessent. He said, China does not have high tariffs. They never did. See, that was always a lie. Here we go, my friends. Here we go. This is how it works. Control of people works. I talked about this yesterday about fascism. Watch that video. Watch it all the way through. Maybe watch it again. This is how it works. We begin with lying to people. We promise people things that they want. And then you build upon it. He lied. He told everybody that we're being ripped off by the Chinese and the rest of the world. Some poor country in Africa, 130, 40% tariffs on them. They have no money. They don't even export anything to us, and we're putting tariffs on them. I mean, just absurd, crazy talk. Out of control. Made no sense. So China didn't have high tariffs on America. What was this about? Control. Hegemony. American hegemony. Trump's going to bring it back in one quick swoop. He's going to force everybody to obey his tariff laws. We're going to tariff you. Don't you dare tariff us, or we'll tariff you more. But China didn't care. You see, again, all these comments, the Chi comments, and how evil and they're dirty. And of course, even the administration said they're thieves and crooks and liars. And they went on and on and on. And all of a sudden, all their friends. Not really. But you see how quickly the rhetoric changes when you need to make a deal. So all these folks that commented and said, oh, they're no good, they're no good, they're no good. Well, let me be honest with you. They don't care what you think. China is not going to bow down to Donald Trump. They are willing to sacrifice factories and jobs temporarily because they will not negotiate under the terms Donald Trump wanted them to negotiate under. They said clearly, we will not come to the table. We will, I say it again, we will not come to the table until you drop those tariffs. Guess what he did? Dropped the tariffs. He did exactly what the Chinese wanted him to do. He played his hand. Remember, it's always a card game. Remember that? It's a card game. Remember, Volodymyr Zelensky was in the White House and he was with his really smart guy, J.D. Vance. Whew. Donald Trump ever leaves office and it's up to Vance, we're in deeper trouble than I think anybody believes. But that's another rabbit hole. We're not going there. And they were ganging up on Zelensky, and they had the press there. Of course, it was all a show. It was a game show. See, that's the point. The Chinese know they're dealing with a game show host, a poor actor, a poor game show host, and a pretty poor businessman. They knew this. They knew the cards he held. And he was telling Zelensky, you don't hold any cards. You don't hold any cards. Well, the Chinese were telling Donald, you're not holding any cards. And he wasn't. He bluffed, and the Chinese called him on it. And he folded like a house of cards. It's a joke. Okay, so this Liberation Day tariffs he started, ended up now being negotiated in Geneva, Switzerland. And it went from 145% tariff on all incoming Chinese goods, pretty much shut down shipping, to now the negotiation ended up with now 30% on Chinese goods coming into this country. Now we already had 20% tariffs. Remember the fentanyl tariffs on China. So really it's a 10% additional tariff. So the Chinese are paying 10%. Well, no, that's wrong. The American people are going to pay the extra 10%. We lose either way. We now pay an extra 10% because those importers are going to pass that cost along to the businesses who sell those goods. And those businesses are going to say, it's 10%. You're going to pay it. Me and you. Now, the Chinese said, we'll go to 10% on American goods. Again, they had very low tariffs anyway. It's 10% more than before. But you know what? The Chinese don't care, because ultimately the big thing for the Chinese isn't what they're paying for stuff coming into their country. And it's definitely not what we're paying for the stuff coming in from their country, because they could care less, because you either buy it or you don't. And people will buy it. They know that. They know the American market maybe better than we do. Really came down to saying, we now are able to reopen all of our factories and start producing again. So all they got to say, hey, we'll do what you want now, because our factories will all reopen and we'll start producing again. And guess what? The trade deficit's still going to be as high as it was. Oh, you know why? Because, see, that was one of the things. Remember? Do you remember? This trade deficit, we're going to stop it. They're ripping us off. I have to say this again. Please don't take it wrong. If you believe that rhetoric, you know nothing. You know absolutely nothing. Because anybody who understands tariffs, even in a small degree, knows that that trade deficit number involves much more than that dollar difference. And the very fact is that the Americans were responsible for the trade deficit. We bought their stuff. That's why, as a deficit, we buy more from them than they do from us, because they manufacture just about everything and we don't. But wasn't that the other point? The second point, Donald Trump, wasn't just the tariffs and the trade imbalance, but we want factories to come back to America. We're going to build those iPhones here. We're going to build them. We're going to make America great again by having factory jobs for kids to go in and spend 12 hours a day for $15 an hour putting chips into phones. It's a great job. Not really. Some factories might come back. That takes investment. Less and less people, as of these tariffs, as of Donald Trump's folly, less and less people are going to invest in America. We already know that. Less and less money's coming in to invest. And when you build a factory, my friends, it takes investors. And it doesn't happen in 2 days or 4 years. That's a 10 and 12-year project. That's how it works. The supply chain alone. People don't get it because, you see, we think, because we were told that's how America becomes great again. Making brooms. You're going to be making brooms. We're going to manufacture brooms here. Maybe we do make some brooms here. I'd rather not. And Bill Gates went on and said, this was a bad idea, because investment now, because of what Donald Trump did, investors are not investing in America. More and more of them will not invest here because of the uncertainty. And that's what Bill Gates said. He said, and you have to factor in, when you're talking about factories, it isn't 4 years. It's 10 or 20 years. You got to think ahead. With computers and AI now taking jobs, you have to understand what it's going to be like in 20 years, in 10 years. But you see, Donald Trump was just making this big play on the American people. I'm going to fix it. Tomorrow you'll see factories here. You'll see people at work. We're going to put everybody to work and be the manufacturing power of the world. But it doesn't work that way anymore. He's been in a closet too long. Maybe he should come out of the closet. You see, he doesn't know what reality is either. He doesn't. Again, if you know who he is. Again, if you actually know who he is, even if you believe he's God's man, you still have to understand the psychology behind him. The very fact is that this man was brought up different than me and you. His viewpoint of America is different. He isn't a person who walks my small town or my small city. He isn't a farmer. He doesn't understand how it works. He thinks these grandiose threats and intimidating people will make it all work. He believes by just saying something and writing an idiot executive order will make it all right, will fix everything. It hasn't fixed anything. So did we win the trade war? No. This was a clown show. Now, the only people touting it is the clowns on the fascist news network, Fox, Epoch Times, or is that Epoch Times, right? Newsmax, Sean Hannity, Bill O'Reilly, another guy that's, so far in left field, just leave him there. And people still follow this guy, a womanizer, and basically the issues he had at Fox News. This guy was a bum. He's now been degraded to podcasting. And of course, he is a Trump guy all the way. Yes. So we now lost this trade war. We're worse off than we were before Donald Trump took the reins. We're literally worse off than we were. Even Scott Bessent said that this is just a 90-day pause. There was no deal struck. There's no deal. There's no constructive agreement. Now, others are saying, well, Donald Trump in 90 days will bring those tariffs back and force the Chinese to deal. I don't believe he'll do that. I don't believe so. Now, this guy is off the rails, so I can't guarantee it. I'm saying logically, why would we use that in America? Logic. Well, logically, he shouldn't do it because they already know his hand. He's got nothing to play. The Chinese will continue over these 90 days to diversify. They'll continue building agreements, which is what Trump did do. He did a good job of making China get closer to other countries and open more trade routes to other countries. He now joined what seemed to be the unjoinable, the Asian market. The Koreans, the Japanese, and the Chinese and others met and are now going to work on better trade deals between themselves. This only strengthened what you'd call our enemies, which they shouldn't have been our enemies. We've made China our enemy because we want to destroy them, but you can't. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, people. I know those of you Chi-commers that hate China, they're communist, they're evil, they're not Christian. Listen, there's a reality here too. It isn't about you judging who they are and who they should be. It's about who they are right now. They're a massive country. Massive. Their middle class is bigger than our population. They do have the biggest manufacturing and supply chain network in the world. Now, whether or not America will be able to work with the Chinese in the future, I don't know. I hope so. But under Donald Trump, we have a problem. We have a problem because he wants to make America great again, and he believes to do that, he must destroy any competition. That's not going to happen. And many of you are hoping so. Many of you think that somehow we will be able to thwart the growth of China. That ship has already sailed. And as I mentioned, what Bill Gates told us, that no one's going to be able to get that far ahead in technology to make themselves super dominant over the other parts of the world. It's not going to happen. We have to be able to work in conjunction with other countries, even countries we're not fond of, even countries we dislike. That's the purpose of the United States. That's what the United States was supposed to do from World War II on, to work with other countries. We've been trying to do that since 1945, since the global order was set. But of course, Donald Trump decides that that's not a good idea because Donald Trump is selfish, because many people who believe in Donald Trump are selfish. In fact, Barack Obama, and I have a quote from him, he said, "I don't know when they decided to make a virtue out of selfishness." That's Barack Obama's quote. Somehow we tend to believe that we have this virtue, that we are great, that America is great. But how can it be great when you're selfish, when you want to, as 4.5% of the population, dominate the whole world, use more of its natural resources, be the boss of everybody, be the rulers of everybody? That's not what we were intended to be. And if you believe that, I don't know what planet you're from. I don't know what preacher you're listening to. Stop now. Listen, again, we are in the midst of a crisis here in America. A crisis, a freedom crisis, a tyranny crisis. My video yesterday talks about tyranny, talks about fascism. We're at its doorstep right now. We might even be in the front lobby of fascism under Donald Trump. I'm here to fight against tyranny. I'm here to give you the truth, to make it clear which side we should be on. I hope you join us. Like, subscribe, and share this video. I want to get to 2,000 subscribers. I know it's not a lot. I'm not a big network. I'm not a big podcast right now, but with your help, we can grow. Try to get us to 2,000. Share our video with your friends that would be interested. Help us grow. Help us reach more people. That's what we want to do. We want to join people together in a common goal for freedom, for liberty, and to stop fascism in its place. Again, join us. Don't forget, we have a sister channel. I want to mention that again. Nights Around the Fire. I have a link in the description box. Some new videos coming out on that channel. Besides all that, God bless you. I'm glad you can join me today. Enjoy your day and keep watching your favorite podcast for news, information, analysis, and of course, commentary from me right here on the David Tomsic Show. God bless you. See you.